Big Manny Studios presents an almost original production. Big Manny 8, Theocidal Manny. Big Manny by Jessica Christ. Written and illustrated by Jessica Christ. Narrated by Jessica Christ. With special guests Ethan Shaw and Cienna Chelsie. It's early in the morning on the 21st of June 2274. Emmanuel Manny Heffely III is very tall, but not big by any means. He has also been dead for quite a while. He'd spent 160 years tortured in hell for the atrocities he committed in life. After killing the upper god lords of hell, Anubis, Hades and Chris, Manny had entered a portal door, alone. As he travels down the purple swirling nightmare that's in between doors, he hears a voice of Archangel Lace Metatron blasting through a speaker.
You are now entering eternal paradise, heaven. Due to the kindness of the gods, you have been given the opportunity to heal all wounds and a free makeover.
Manny is very excited by this. He can finally look and dress how he wants. He shouts to himself,
"Please heal me, fix my hair, give me my nice clothes, but keep my muscular frame."
As he says each of these requests, his cuts and bruises and the chunk of his skull that's missing all heal to smooth, fresh skin. His hair regrows and his face is clean shaven. His ripped, dirty prison jumpsuit is replaced with a larger version of his classic white jeans and t-shirt, and his muscles stay the same. Once Manny was done, he could see the exit to the portal hallway, the back door to heaven, only meant for hell officials to use for easy access. Manny is thrown out and lands flat on his face, but it didn't hurt, as he landed on what seemed to be a solid cloud. The whole floor of this place was made of clouds that were thick enough for anything to stand on with no problems. He looked around and noticed the sky was an unusual colour, a light blue, completely unlike anything he'd ever seen. Manny was stood next to the top of a golden escalator that connects back down to purgatory. He says to himself, in awe of everything around him,
"Wow, pretty bright up here. My eyes hurt."
He looks ahead and sees the pearly gates that cut him off from the rest of his mission. The bouncer stood at the gates with a clipboard. It was Archangel Lace Metatron. As Manny walks up to her, Lace looks at him and back to her clipboard and says,
Hello, welcome to heaven. You don't seem to be on my list, Mr.
Heffely. Manny Heffely.
He interrupts. Lace looks very concerned as she shouts,
Oh my gods, you're the guy who killed Hades and Chris. For the safety of my people, I can't let you in heaven.
Manny knew his mission couldn't end here, so he had to do the only thing that always works. He punched her in the head, and she died instantly. Then Manny pushes the golden gates open and officially enters Heaven City. He looks around and sees a huge open plateau of solid clouds with large buildings dotted around. And at the far end was the edge of the clouds, and the sun took up most of the sky. Manny says to himself,
"Okay, no messing around. I need to find to the final 7 upper gods and kill them. Then go back to hell to find Matty and Alfie so we can rebuild the afterlife system from scratch. But how am I supposed to kill anyone as strong as a god without a weapon? I need something like a gun."
Right as he says that, golden twinkles fizzle in his hand and a small gun brand handgun appears. Manny blurts out in excitement and confusion,
"Wow, does this work with everything? I need a knife."
Once again, as he says this, a blue curved knife appears in a twinkle of heavenly gold. Manny is amazed by this and starts to ask for anything he can think of.
"I want a sword, another gun, Cool sunglasses. More guns.
A classic broadsword-type sword appears. Another gun lands in a holster on his side. Sunglasses materialize on his face, and a couple of gun-brand shotguns are tied to his back. All of this may seem like magic. However, magic isn't real, and everything in heaven is caused by complicated technology they've had for centuries. Once Manny was done playing around with the perks of Heaven City, he ran over to the first building he saw. It seemed to be a wooden church of some kind. The root outside of the door had the words Gaia, God of Life, written in vines and leaves. Manny throws his weapons on the floor and says,
God of Life? She sounds peaceful, so should be easy. I'll leave all this stuff outside.
Then he walks up to the white double doors and knocks twice. As he does this, a slit on the wall above begins to widen until a huge green eyeball was clearly visible, staring down at the clueless Manny. A second green eye opens up and they both stare at Manny. As the white doors slide upwards, the building screams.
Hey, ouch, don't hit my teeth, I'll eat you for that.
Manny doesn't want to get eaten and yells,
What? No, don't eat me. I'm sorry.
But this building was the god of life, Gaia. And in a circle of life, it's eat or be eaten. And she sucks up Manny and swallows him in one go. Manny falls through the wooden tunnels that are Gaia's insides. He bounces around past tunnels labelled stomach and heart as he falls into the cave that says baby core above the entrance. There it is, the baby core, a giant swirling ball of every conceivable colour, pulsating and vibrating as small fetuses float around. This is where babies come from. They are created in here and then sent into the birth giver. When Manny sees the baby core, he shouts,
That looks important. I need a knife.
And a small dagger materializes in his hands as he lands on top of the core, and he plunges his knife deep inside. The baby core begins to shake and writhe until suddenly, boom! It explodes violently and pushes Manny into the back wall, where he slides down and out of Gaia. She is now stood up to show her extremely tall, tree-like body. Gaia screams in pain.
No, you've doomed everything. Nothing can be born again.
And she collapses on the floor, dead. The first god of heaven was dead. Manny didn't know it yet, and he wouldn't know for a long, long time, but destroying the baby core would cause a lot of problems for him and everyone else. Sometime later, Manny is looking for the next god to take down. He sees a huge brick pyramid with a golden peak. On the sides were two obelisks with various godly symbols chiseled onto them. The Ankh, the Hedis, the pentagram, the world try, the scarab eye, the dark sign, the treble clef, the bolt, the valknut, the crucifix, the hack, and the magnum, all of which have had great importance. Manny walks through the entrance of the pyramid and tries to find his way around the maze-like interior. Eventually he finds the center room and sees it's decorated nearly identically to Anubis's office. Whoever works in here must do the same job as Anubis, but for heaven.
Hey Ra, I'm here to kill you.
Manny yells at the tall, tanned, shirtless man with the head of a blue jay. It was Ra, god of heavenly design. The birdman turns around and carefully avoids slipping on a pencil, and he squawks.
Oh, it's you. I heard about what you did in hell. I wanted to know what your friends are doing right now.
Manny is very confused by this and asks,
Who? Matty and Alfie? I don't know, probably helping people in hell and killing demons.
Ra's beak does its best attempt to smile, and he replies,
They're dead. And I don't mean like dead in heaven or hell. I mean dead, dead. When you die in the afterlife, you die permanently.
Manny freaks out and shouts,
What? How? Everything was fine when I left, and those two could easily kill anything down there.
Ra begins to laugh and continues,
It's all your fault. When you killed the Lords of Hell, it set off a reaction that has destroyed hell and everybody in it, permanently. And the same thing will happen to heaven if you don't stop now.
Manny didn't want to believe it, but it was true. Ra was right. Hell would have become near uninhabitable after the gods were killed, so Alfie Thomas and Matty had died the secondary death. In his anger, Manny screamed,
Shut up, shut up, shut up! I have to do this! This has to be the right thing to do!
He lunges at Ra with his knife and stabs him over and over and over, all around his body until it was completely unrecognizable. Manny falls back and stares at his blood-covered hands as he drops the murder weapon on the floor. Another god of heaven, dead. Some time later, Manny has recovered from his violent rage, and he returned to his usual calm violence. He's wandering around the vast open areas of Heaven City to find another of the upper gods. As he looks around, he sees a man laying on a sunbed. Manny whispers to himself,
Huh, that guy looks so familiar. He kinda looks like... No.
He walks over to the mystery man, and as he gets closer, he can see his features better. He had short, black hair that was greying slightly. He wore a very fancy, tailored, dark grey suit with a bright red tie. As Manny gets closer, the man sat up and pulled down his sunglasses. As he looks at Manny, up and down, the man says,
Manny, is that you?
Manny replies, quietly,
Obama. It's been a long time.
It really was Obama. He's been in heaven this whole time, ever since he died 196 years ago. He asks a question.
Manny, what are you, doing here? I thought you were in, hell.
Manny answers very carefully.
I was, yeah, but then I, killed the upper gods of hell, and I'm here to do the same.
Obama rolls this around in his mind to see how he feels about it, and then replies,
Wow, that's a lot, but I trust it's for a good reason. Can I join you and make this a classic Manny Obama adventure?
Manny's face lights up and yells,
Yes, of course, but what were you going to say to me before you died? I've thought about it every day for the last 200 years.
Obama looks embarrassed and says,
Oh, don't worry about that. Come on, tell me what you've been up to.
A little later, Manny and Obama are walking around heaven aimlessly as they recall everything that's happened to either of them since their last adventure in Boston. Manny finishes his sentence.
And then I found you, and then we started talking.
The duo start to walk up to the most dilapidated building in Heaven City, the barely recognizable ruins of Castle Kiln. It was also the prison of the disgraced upper god, Gwyn, god of cinders. As they walk up to the ashy stairs, Obama says,
We need some armor and weapons, please.
Both of them are equipped with metal helmets, embroidered shields of sun and grass, as well as Obama getting a longsword and Manny getting a halberd. Then they walk through the fog door that keeps the prisoner inside. As they enter the crumbling open throne room, Manny says,
I feel so bad about what happened to Matty. I can't believe he's completely gone.
Obama replies reassuringly,
Really, don't worry.
But he's interrupted by the wrinkled, dry, burnt-skinned old man with a huge ash-covered beard sat in front of a small campfire in the center of the room. It was Gwyn. He pulls the sword embedded in the flame out to reveal it's almost 7 feet long and on fire. He steps closer to Manny and screams in mad desperation.
Get out of here!
You could break the heater. I'll kill you before you can touch it.
Then Gwyn lifts his greatsword over his crown and swings it down at Manny. But he was ready, and Manny bashes the sword away with his shield, leaving Gwyn open for an attack. And Manny drives his halberd deep into Gwyn's shriveled chest as he cries,
Please keep the fire alive. I can't. I've suffered such degradation for nothing.
Gwyn falls back onto his sacred flame, and it lights his body on fire, spreading throughout the room, killing him. Meanwhile, the duo leaves the way they came, as Obama continues to speak.
Yeah, don't worry. Matty mentioned to me that after becoming Giga, he regretted spending so much of his life dedicated to religion.
Manny replies,
Well, I hope this is what he wanted then. I guess I feel slightly better about it.
Later on, Manny and Obama find a large Moai head. It's the house of their 4th upper god, Squidward, the god of art, though he hasn't felt like that in a while. Obama looks concerned and murmurs,
I was actually raised a Squidwardist, and I've been sort of friends with Squidward up here, so this will be really awkward.
As Manny knocks on the door, he says,
I'm sorry, you don't have to do anything if it's weird.
Immediately, the door opens and upper god Squidward stands in the doorway. Obama breaks the silence.
Hey Squid, is this a bad time?
Squidward replies,
Hello, Obama. When am I not having a bad time? Come in.
A very awkward amount of time later, Manny and Obama are sat on one of Squid's sofas in silence, as a clock ticks, 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 ticks. Squidward says nothing, and the nothing is killing Manny, so he blurts out,
So, Mr. Tentacles, we need to kill you?
Obama coughs nervously, and Squidward replies depressingly,
Go ahead. It's not like I have anything left to live for.
Obama is in shock and yells,
Whoa, Squid, I know you've been sad recently, but I didn't think it was quite this bad.
Squidward turns his chair to face out the window, and he says,
You know my art and music has never been appreciated. I don't really know how. I mean, I'm the god of art, but still, people don't care about what I make. That's always made me sad, but then my girlfriend of 6,000 years broke up with me, and since then I've just felt no reason to live, but I'm too scared to do it myself.
Manny feels even more awkward and whispers to Obama,
Look, man, he's obviously made up his mind, and we did come here to kill him. So, how do we do this?
Squidward must have overheard this, because he replies,
I want Obama to do it. You've always been a faithful Squidwardist, and a better friend. Also, I hate Manny.
Obama just stares at the floor and thinks this over. Then he decides,
This is so much pressure, but if it's for my friend, I need a gun.
And a gun-brand gun appears in his hand that he places right behind Squid's head. Squidward gets out his clarinet and plays a rendition of his only successful song, Snake Eater. Obama looks up at the ceiling and begins to cry quietly as he pulls the trigger. Bang. A few minutes later, they're back outside, and Manny puts his hand on Obama's shoulder as he says,
That must have been so difficult. But it's late. Let's just rest for tonight.
Then they tuck themselves under some of the thick cloud, and Manny spends his first and only night in heaven. Manny is sat on the shoulder of an inconceivably large purple giant. This purple man is running through a dark cave. Manny realizes how small he is. He looks as if he was 3 years old. The giant continues to run, and eventually exits the cave to a never-ending field. They keep moving forward, faster and faster. Suddenly, they are drenched in thick, dark red blood. But this purple man continues. Then the giant becomes even bigger, but just for a moment, before shrinking down to a normal-sized person, with Manny barely holding onto his shoulders. The man keeps running faster and faster, and becomes his original giant size. Suddenly, the man's head disappears, but he keeps running. A tree is getting closer and closer as the headless giant charges towards it. Right before they hit the enormous tree, the man's head comes back, but it's too late. They smash through the tree with ease, but on the floor, behind the tree, is a small, multicolored rock that the giant trips over. The purple man falls in slow motion, and it flings Manny forwards, and he screams in fear, but he's caught by a net of curly blonde hair before he blacks out. 3 voices say to him,
Wake up, honey.
Come on, boy, wake up.
Wakey, wakey, bro. Manny jolts awake and sees 3 people stood in front of him. His mother, his father, and his oldest brother. Manny isn't fully awake and murmurs,
Mom? Dad? Rodrick? Is that really you? What are you doing here?
His mother, Susan Heffely, answers.
Don't be silly, Manny. You've killed us, so obviously we're in heaven.
Manny stands up. Looking guilty, he replies,
I'm so sorry for everything. I'm so sorry for eating you and being a bratty child.
His mother continues,
Manny, we forgive you, and we still love you.
Manny is so confused by this and just shouts,
You can't just forgive me after everything I did, after everything I've done to the world.
His father, Frank Heffley, says,
Boy, we've been watching you from here since we died, and yes, you did a lot of horrendous stuff, but you're still our son. I named you after my father, Emmanuel Heffley II, and you fight for what you believe is the right, just like he did. We forgive you.
His brother, Rodrick Heffley, confesses, I'm really sorry for how I treated you and Greg. And I really feel like I'm the reason you became big. Suddenly, Obama walks over and says,
Hey, I don't mean to ruin the moment or anything, but we should get going, Manny.
Manny turns to his friend and replies,
Yeah, Obama's right. But, Rodrick, don't apologize. You had nothing to do with it. Wait, where is Greg?
Susan looks around and her smile flickers for a second as she whispers,
Greg? He's, down below. Anyways, Manny, go kill the last 3 upper gods.
Manny and Obama were off. They ran across Heaven City, fighting anyone who got in their way, which was surprisingly not that many people. A few nameless angels or an angry religious person here or there, but most people were cheering them on. Eventually, the duo find a small section of heaven where the clouds are dark and grey, and they cover every side like a cave. Manny and Obama walked through the Storm Veil Peak, an area of Heaven City that, due to Heaven's cloud body, is sometimes touching the very top of Mount Everest. They keep walking through until they find a huge golden bell that has a message written on the side. Ring this great bell and suffer the wrath of Zeus, god of the storm. Manny reads this and says,
Well, one of us is going to have to do it.
Obama locks eyes with Manny and walks backwards to the bell as he bets.
I will do it, sir. I really want to.
Then Obama grabs the rope under the bell and swings it from side to side. As it booms, its sound louder and louder. Ding, dong, ding, dong. The layer of clouds above them suddenly opens up as a huge monster flies down towards Obama. It was upper god Zeus, and he is riding his pet, Fred of Glamis, the last living dragon. Zeus screams,
Thunder! Lightning!
the same words everyone hears as a lightning bolt is thrown from the sky. Obama is struck, and his whole body is electrocuted. He screams in pain as his skin is burnt until he passes out. In the air, Fred of Glamis breathes a net of fire as Zeus yells,
People always forget I'm also the god of dragons.
Then Fred swoops down and charges towards Manny with his jaw wide open, showing his rows of razor-sharp teeth, including one shiny gold fang. Manny panics and shouts,
Whoa, I need a great sword.
A huge bluestone greatsword materializes in his hands, and he instinctively swings it around toward Fred, and it slices through his neck like butter, completely severing it in half. The dragon's armchair-sized head smashes into the floor as it flows out thick pink blood. The headless body continues to fly forwards for a second, before crashing into the ground in a heap. Zeus Erebus climbs up onto his dead pet with his huge muscular arms, his blue toga flowing in the wind, his hair pointing up with static electricity, and he booms.
You killed the last dragon, you monster. Now I'll kill you and everyone you love.
He forms lightning in his hands and beams it at Manny, but he manages to materialize a door-sized stone shield to hide behind. Zeus shoots waves of electricity at Manny, singeing his hair even behind the barricade. The god bellows,
Thunder! Lightning! Just die already!
Just then, Obama wakes up and sees Manny barely staying alive. Even though his whole body was in pain, the ex-president runs behind Zeus and uses all his strength to grab him by the neck and snap it all the way around 180 degrees, then pulls it clean off. Manny peeks around his protection to see Zeus slumped over and his best friend throwing a head on the floor. The storm of Stormvale Peak clears up for the first time since it formed, and Manny stands up. Obama's head is smoking as he says,
Wow, you killed a dragon.
Manny replies,
And you saved my life. Now another god is dead.
The duo continue to wander around, checking every building to find another of the upper gods. 2 left. Eventually, they come across a vast colosseum. The huge circular walls are covered in complex carvings of ancient heroes, battles fought long ago, and a confusing alphabet of runes that spell out where each of the 2 entrances go. One door has a long line going into it, but the other door is empty. Obama looks around and says,
Not sure what those runes say, but I would rather go in the empty door.
Then they run inside, unprepared for what they'd find. They make it through a maze of corridors until they find another door that takes them to the arena part of the Colosseum. Its floor is covered in bloody sand, and Manny looks up at the crowd high above and says,
I think this was the wrong way to go.
Then a very old, balding man sat in a throne up in the spectator stands yells,
Oh, some newcomers. Here just in time for the free-for-all.
This was upper god Odinman, the god of war. He has an eye patch and a blanket covering his missing legs. It makes sense for the god of war to be injured. But if he lives in heaven, why hasn't he healed? What is stopping him from regenerating in the portal doors? Who knows? The crowd erupts with cheering as the other competitors enter the arena to meet Manny and Obama. A few of the most powerful humans and lower gods had agreed to compete in a fight to the death. Mike Tyson, Hercules Erebus, Hermes Bolt, Qubert Mathston, Patrick Star, Artorius Swordgrass, and Thor Odinman. Everyone prepares for the bloodbath as Odin bellows.
Fight to the death. Please win, my son.
Obama has a perfect plan, and he yells,
I need a gun.
But Odin thought of this and screams,
No guns in here, champions. Summoning them is disabled in the Aesir Colosseum.
This was very bad, because now Manny and Obama had to take on everyone in here with swords and their bare hands. Before Manny can think of a plan, lower god Thor, son of Odin, approaches. He's really let himself go the last couple of 100 years, mostly personal problems that caused him to eat his feelings. Nevertheless, he's still extremely strong, shown by how effortlessly he swings his mighty hammer like a baseball. It flies through the air towards Manny's head, but he manages to move out of the way just in time, and in mid-air Manny grabs the handle and turns his entire body to redirect the path of the 10-ton chunk of rock Thor calls Mjolnir. Once Manny had changed its path, it continued to fly back at its owner, who seemed to be drunk, because he didn't notice the hammer until it was colliding with his face. And it travels all the way through Thor's skull, killing him. Meanwhile, famed boxing heavyweight champion Mike Tyson is destroying the arrogant son of Zeus, Hercules. Mike Tyson gets a star punch uppercut under Hercules' chin that hits his head clean off his shoulders. Then Mike turns to Obama and whispers,
Say your prayers, Obama. You're about to be double dead.
Then he throws out a haymaker, but Obama is quick and dodges out of the way. Then he jumps onto Mike's huge frame and sinks his teeth into his ear, screaming,
Now you know how it feels,
Obama gets off and spits out the ear as Mike collapses on the floor, trying to stick his ear back on, while he bleeds out. At the same time, Manny was running around, avoiding attacks from everyone around. While he's not looking, he bumps into Patrick Star, an old Theocidal actor from the 2000s. He really didn't want to be here, but his old co-star Squidward signed him up for the free-for-all. Manny and Patrick decide on a game to settle who dies. They throw out their arms and say,
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
As they say each word, the items appear in their hands, and they quickly decide on what they want. Patrick pulls out a pair of scissors, but Manny pulls out a rock. Patrick murmurs,
What was it? Winner or loser who dies?
Then Manny bashes Patrick's brains in with his rock. Meanwhile, Obama confronts Qubert Mathston, his teacher from when he was very young in the 1960s. Obama hated him. He hated maths. Mr. Mathston stared into Obama's soul and said the same thing he had said to 6-year-old Obama every day. You must learn trigonometry, Obama. You'll never make it anywhere if you don't. Obama has 1,000 flashbacks before waking up, and he snaps, whispering,
I need piano wire.
Then Obama grabs Qubert and shoves him on the floor. He holds the piano wire in both hands and wraps it around Mathston's neck. They squirm around on the floor as Obama tightens his grip. Qubert's neck is slowly cut all the way around until the skin is completely broken, and his throat bleeds all over the two. Sometime later, Obama is fighting everyone he can, swinging a sword in every direction. His fight with Hermes Bolt is cut short by the athlete running away with his speed shoes made with angel wings. Obama shouts,
There's a reason I don't use speed shoes anymore. Coward!
But Hermes doesn't care. Running is his favourite thing, until he runs straight into the famed swordman Artorius Swordgrass. The knight jumps up in the air and spins like a whirlpool before landing sword first on top of Hermes' head, splitting him in half. Artorius turns to Manny, holding a large sword. You can't see his face through his wolf helmet, but Artorius was very intimidating. He was once the most dangerous swordsman in the world and a close friend of Gwyn. He jumps up in the air and performs his famous wolf's claw whirlwind to split Manny in half, but Manny was ready and thrusts his sword deep into Artorius' chest, killing him, causing his knight blade to impale the sand. Up in the crowd, surrounded by rich humans, was one of the last respected giants, Gough, the Hawkeye, another close friend of Gwyn and a famous bowman. His deep, calming voice bellows around the arena.
I may be blind, however I can feel in my bones my brother in war, Artorius, has been slain. Whoever did this must face me now.
Manny doesn't want to hurt the giant. He always felt a weird connection between him and them. So he thinks quickly and comes up with a plan. Then he shouts at Gough.
It was upper god Odin. I saw him do it.
Then, without pausing, Gough picks up his huge bow from his side and grabs a telephone pole-sized arrow from his back. Even without any sight, his other senses are strong enough that he can point his bow at Odin perfectly. Then he pulls back the rope and lets go, sending the enormous arrow across the Colosseum right into Odin's chest. He coughs up some blood and murmurs,
I never got to apologize to my son, or my other son, or my other son, or my daughter, or my other daughter, or any of my other sons. Oh well, they all failed me.
Odin passed out, dead. The crowd begins to leave as Manny and Obama meet in the middle of the battlefield. Obama says,
That felt pretty good, yeah. And we didn't even have to kill Odin ourselves.
The duo leaves as champions of the Aesir Colosseum. Some of the crowd walks past saying, Jolly good show. This one felt lazy. One man runs up to Manny and asks, Hey you, can I get your autograph? I love your books. Manny writes his name on the man's forehead and they walk away. Manny says under his breath,
One more to go.
A little later, they make it to the far right corner of Heaven City, where a lone brick house sits. There's a middle-aged man wearing a cloak with tassels sat on the front step. Obama looks at the man and screams,
No way. Is that Jesus? I'm a huge fan of your show.
It was Jesus Christ, writer, director, actor, and son of an upper god. He stands up and replies, Hey, thank you so much. Such a shame it got cancelled. Anyway, I have to fight one of you while the other goes inside to speak to my mum. It's what she wants. Manny and Obama look at each other and Manny asks,
So, who's going where?
Obama looks sad and replies,
It's pretty obvious you should go inside. I'm happy we got to spend more time together, but this is your thing, and you have to finish it.
Manny takes a deep breath and says,
Okay, Obama, this is probably the last time I'll ever get to see you. So can you please tell me what you wanted to say right before you died?
Obama is nervous, but answers for him.
This is so embarrassing. But if you must know, Manny, I've always wanted to tell you. I always wanted to say, I love you. Now, go do something great. Do something to help people, or just do something you love. I'll miss you, Manny. I'll miss you a lot.
Manny begins to tear up as he says,
Wow. Obama, I love you too. I think I always did. I love you so much. I wish we could spend forever together.
Jesus Christ interrupts them. Hey, this is really cute and all, but my mom is waiting, and she does not like to do that. So please, Manny, step inside of the home of Jessica Christ. Manny walks up to the house, tears in his eyes as he says goodbye to Obama. He knocks on the door, but it just gets pushed open, so he walks inside. The front door closes behind him, and the hallway light turns itself on. Manny creeps through the house. He's terrified by the things he sees on the walls. There's a framed picture of a book called Big Manny, with Manny on the cover. Up the stairs is a framed film poster for Big Manny, the movie. And Manny was there again, covered in blood. Next to that was a framed newspaper from 2214 with an article saying, book series Big Manny named greatest work of fiction ever created by a woman. Manny doesn't know what's happening. Why is everything about him? Sure, people know who he was, but that was because he was king of the world for 50 years. No one ever made stories about him, at least not when he was alive. At the end of the hall was another door with a sign above it, Jessica, God of Humanity, and Manny walks inside. It was a small office, and around the room were a trove of interesting trinkets. A few bookshelves had a group of notebooks all labelled Big Manny 1 through 11. Some other books were called the Bible 2, Return of Jesus, Odyssey of the Snake Ring, some diaries written by Manny's brother, and the Manny File Complete Edition. There's an extensive film and TV collection with Will Ye and the Forbidden Squid, the Chasers Beat Giants trilogy, every episode of Always Sunny Afterlife, the entire box set of Not As Intended, and even a copy of Rompland, Game of the Century edition. On a little table is another notebook with a drawing of Matty Matty. Behind that was a few picture frames of Jessica Christ with some of her many children, Adam, Eve, Helios, Jesus, Charlie, Charles, John, and her least favourite, Brendan. Below the table was a small bin full of scrunched up paper and a ripped photo of Jessica and Squidward. On a shelf was a few figurines of things Jessica likes, as well as a locked box full of secrets. Usually there are some cats wandering around, but none can be found today. Behind the wooden desk is the final upper god still alive, Jessica Christ, a short ginger woman in a pink summer dress. She's on her computer, drawing an image of Manny sat in an armchair next to a fireplace. She looks up at the real Manny and says,
Oh, hey, Manny. You're right on time.
Manny's face looks very worried as he asks,
Why do you have all this? Why is everything about me?
Jess stands up and puts her Manny plush down as she answers,
Because I made all humans, and you're my favourite. Or at least the one I've put the most effort into.
Manny becomes more confused and shouts,
Why am I your favourite? I killed all your siblings.
Jessica quickly replies,
Whoa, none of us upper gods are related. We were just made by the same guy. The reason you're my favourite is because of what you can achieve, Manny. The gods had to die.
Manny yells at her,
Don't think that doesn't include you. Even my creator must die.
Jessica says calmly,
I know. Everything you're doing has already been written by me. Hey, here's a crazy idea. After you kill me, to finish Matty's mission by destroying heaven, Maybe you could go back to Earth and kill the guy who caused all your problems.
Manny is surprised and asks, "Who is still out there that I haven't met? Or I haven't killed?" Jessica answers,
Do you remember your adventure to Pluto long ago? You went there looking for the CEO of R&R Malum, but you couldn't find him. What if I told you this CEO is still alive, and he's actually my least favorite son, Brendan? He goes by the name Mr. Repulsive now, so he can have nothing to do with me. But he is the creator of Space Heroine, and the reason you became big.
Manny snaps. "He did this to me? Mr. Repulsive. He's why I can't have a normal life. I'll kill him." Jessica opens a drawer and pulls out a small golden key with a +1 engraved on the side, as she says,
Here's a reincarnation key. It's a special item that unlocks the portal door back to Earth. Take it. Now please, kill me how I wrote it.
Manny is handed the key and he puts it in his pocket, thinking about how to kill the final god. He then has an idea. "I need a plasma rifle." Just then, a large laser cannon appeared in his arms, and he gets ready to fire it. Aiming at his creator, he pulls the trigger while Jessica shouts,
This is going to be so cool. Ow, 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 oh my gods, ow, this hurts so much. Ouch, more than I thought it would. Ow, ouch, ah.
as the plasma beam burns her skin and destroys her hair. A plasma rifle is strong enough to instantly turn anything into ashes. However, upper gods are very resilient, so this instant death is lasting longer than she thought. The beam is now disintegrating the furniture and walls behind her. Eventually, Manny turns it off to see a huge hole in the house that looked out over the edge of heaven, as well as the smouldering, charred, smoking corpse of Jessica Christ. So Manny leaves, and as he does, he notices a painting of an old man titled Mike Malloy, written in pure white. Then he leaves the house. Once he's outside, he noticed how much colder it is up here. It's so empty. All the dead people walking around had disappeared, including Obama. But all the angels are standing around. Some happy, some sad, some are dead, including Jesus, lying on the floor in a pool of his own blood. As Manny walks away from the crumbling house, he sees how huge the sun is from here. He walks past a broken bridge that once connected the sun and heaven, and you can barely see a pair of double doors on the other end of the bridge, with a name written above it in white that's too small to read. Manny stares at his golden key and says to himself, "Where is the portal door for this?" Just then, he sees a very similar-looking golden door, blocked by a golden sheet with a huge lock on the front, just like the one in Chris's office, except this one had Earth written at the top. Engraved on the door is a sentence, "Upper and lower gods only. Constructs can petition for reincarnation with their local upper god." Luckily, Manny had permission. Not that anyone would stop him. Manny places his key on the lock and the door ascends upwards as the portal bursts to life. Manny steps inside the swirling corridor. He falls through the portal hallway, screaming all the way down until he falls onto sand. Manny picks himself up and brushes his clothes. He looks back at the portal door, closing behind him. He steps forward and realizes he's standing under the golden escalator in Purgatory, Australia. Right in front of him are the judges that sent him to hell, Ron and John. They were much older now, with grey hair, and they held each other's hands. Manny can see the ocean,
and he whispers under his breath,
Finally, I'm back.
"To be continued." And that's Big Manny 8. The gods are dead, and that brings this arc to a close. But another has opened up. Perhaps the final thing Manny will ever do. Kill the creator of Space Heroine, Mr. Repulsive. I wonder how he will do it. Maybe he won't even do it. You'll have to find out. The next few Big Manny videos will be very, very long, like this one. But after something big happens, they should become a reasonable length after that. Like, subscribe,